Hi guys, welcome back to my DiamondTube videos. This is DiamondTube video number 3. 3! Yay! Uh, if you have been watching my DiamondTube videos in the past, thank you for coming back and watching again. If you are just getting into the hobby or just finding the videos, thanks for checking me out. I do appreciate your time. As I said before, I tend to start my DiamondTube videos with the tools so that you know that this is going to be about diamond painting and not about cross-stitching. I do have floss tube videos on this same channel, and if you're interested in those and seeing my cross-stitch patterns and projects, you can go look on the channel and look back a little bit. They're all labeled floss tube as opposed to these which are labeled diamond tube. Again, if somebody else has a better term for what we should call these videos, let me know. I'm perfectly willing to call them something else. Diamond tube just seemed appropriate. So it's been a while. It's been actually 3 weeks, which is appropriate for my third video, I guess. But it's actually been 3 weeks since the last time I made a diamond tube video. I originally said I was going to do them every 2 weeks, and I will, but I kind of feel like doing a floss tube video and a diamond tube video on the same day is a little bit too much for me, particularly if I happen to go back to doing longer floss tube videos. So I'm going to do alternating weeks. So I'll do my floss tube video 1 week and my diamond tube video the week after that, and then switch back and forth. I hope that doesn't bother anyone. I hope that doesn't upset anyone. Sort of spreads out the goodness a little bit, I think. Oh, I didn't introduce myself if you are new to my videos. Hi, I'm Sarah, otherwise known as Little Snips, otherwise known as the Talking Hands. You will only see my hands in videos, although I did have the urge, I tell you, and it was a strange urge, but I did have the urge to actually do a video with my face in it, so one of these days that might happen. Who knows? It'll be a surprise if it does. But, enough rambling introduction. Let's go ahead and get started on what you are interested in. First things first, I again want to say thank you for taking the time to spend with me, and thanks for checking out a new hobby. I know that at least in the heaven and earth cross-stitching world, this is getting a little bit more attention because a lot of us are doing heaven and earth designs. And so more and more people are hearing about it, more and more people are coming and checking out what diamond painting is all about. You do not have to do heaven and earth designs in order to be a part of the diamond painting community. There are lots of things that you can buy that are not heaven and earth designs. I have talked, probably too much, but I've talked in some detail at some length in my last 2 videos about the other projects and buying them from China and what sort of copyright issues you might run into, so go ahead and watch those earlier videos if you're interested in hearing that. I won't do it again. But you can do diamond paintings without having to do a giant heaven and earth design or without having to figure out how to do a heaven and earth design. So just keep that in mind if the heaven and earth designs seem a little intimidating, or if you're not interested in doing heaven and earth designs, you don't have to. It's not a requirement at all. That said, I know that there were a few people who were interested in finding out whether, or actually asked and hoping that Michelle, who is the not designer, she charts all of the artwork into cross-stitch patterns that comes into heaven and earth designs. Michelle was looking into possibly carrying the canvas and tiles at the very least in order to do the heaven and earth design patterns, or just to be able to buy canvas and tiles more quickly for those of us who live in the States. Right now, the only options that are truly viable are either ordering from a seller in China or ordering from a reseller in the UK, which is great for those who live in Europe and the UK and that sort of thing. They can get their supplies a little bit faster sometimes than ordering directly from China. Those of us in the States don't really have a supplier. I did mention on a group that I had looked into or thought about doing some supplying myself, and I sort of came to the same conclusion that unfortunately Michelle from Heaven and Earth Designs came to. That decision is, it's just not feasibly, it's not easy to become a distributor of the canvas and tiles. Number one, for the reason that in order to distribute the tiles, you need to have the space to house an enormous amount of tiles. Michelle's research turned up the fact that it would take about $15,000 worth of money invested up front in order to get all of the supplies you would need to be able to offer them to people who wanted to do the charts. That does not take into account the need for storage space, and in her case, it does not take in the need for probably hiring another employee, given that her employees are busily working on kitting up cross-stitching projects. And they are sometimes very overworked because it is a pretty popular company. And there's a lot of work that goes into kitting up those packages, those kits. So she was saying that she would probably have to hire another person in order to avoid taking one of her current employees away from the cross-stitching business, which would impact her already established cross-stitching business, and ultimately she decided that it just wasn't feasible for her to do it. I also don't have any available space. I suppose I could, look into running a Kickstarter or something to try to get the money to do that, but I don't have the space currently to house or to store all of the diamonds that I would need and the canvas. I did actually look into what it would take to buy a printer that could print the cross-stitch patterns, and they do exist. They're pretty expensive, so it's not something that you can just go out on a whim and buy. Also, they take up space again. So I don't know that we will be getting a North American supplier with at least canvas and tiles anytime soon. It's a little bit frustrating, I know. I would like to have some place that does not require me to order through China and doesn't force me to wait for 3 weeks to a month to get my patterns, or rather my packages, but at the moment, that's what we have to deal with. So, apologies to those of you who are looking forward to possibly being able to order something more locally. It doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. But you can still order from China. You can still order from a couple different companies. And for the most part, people have some problems with shipping and some problems with diamonds not showing up after they've ordered them, but I personally haven't had any problems with that. My main problems have been with getting frustrated waiting for the packages to show up. Let's see, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, square pens. So I have shown you that the majority of the pens that we get, if you can see, are round tip pens, which are great for kits and packages that have round tiles in them. But the more detailed packages that we tend to like, or more detailed patterns rather, tend to use square tiles, which, you know that saying, trying to force a square peg into a round hole. A square tile does not exactly fit on a round-tipped pen. I did discover that there is a seller, at least one seller, I'm sure there are more on AliExpress, but at least one that I have used that does have square-tipped pens. Now, Caitlin White, who I will link to her again in the comment section or notes down at the bottom of the page or bottom of the video, she had found a seller at one point that did have square-tipped pens, and the square-tipped pens on AliExpress disappeared. Well, I have found that there is another person who has square-tipped pens. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your taste, those pens all have little figures attached to them, so little animation style figures. I will try to find a picture and insert it here of what they look like. I will definitely link to them down at the bottom of the notes again. I do not have them. I have not tried them. I don't know if it makes a difference on using square tiles and whether the square pen makes it easier to use the square tiles. I don't know, but I may, when I make another order, I may ask for one of those or order one of those. I'm sorry, my hand keeps disappearing. My face is suddenly very itchy. Same thing as FlossTube itchy nose. I guess this is DiamondTube itchy face. But I may order one of those when I make a new order, just to see how they work and see how the pen handles with it's sort of, well, if the picture worked, and it should, you will have seen that it's on the end of the pen. But to see how the pen works with a counterbalance, basically, with something on the end here to shift the weight around. So I may do that. I probably will do that when I order. And obviously, if I do that, I will let you know how that works. I also wanted to show you, I had said in an earlier video, probably my first video, that the wax that we use, which normally looks like this, at least in my experience, looks like a pink piece of chewing gum, comes in different colors. Well, I got a kit last week, and this is what the wax looks like. It looks like just a square of flattened candle wax, basically. I know that there is some out there that is green. I know that there is some out there that is a shade of blue. So if you get a kit and it has some weird colored piece of wax, do not worry. This is the same stuff. It's the same substance. It just is a different color. And it should work just as well. I also got, with that kit, I got a new pen. So you can see these are my standard tools. This is a pretty standard pen, the pink pen with the round tip again, and the three, this is intended supposedly to be able to put down 3 tiles at a time. Usually when I use this end, it's to push tiles into place if I have a stubborn tile. The green tray and the tweezers. Most of the tweezers that I have seen people get are these bent nose tweezers. This actually, I bought these at a quilting show, so this did not come in a kit, but these are very sharp, very narrow pointed tweezers, and I like them a lot. But I don't use tweezers to actually place the tiles because I'm not good at it. When I place tiles with these, I tend to fling them across the room, which, you know, doesn't make anything happen. But I got a new pen with my new kit, and this is a green pen, as you can see. It is a solid piece, so it's all plastic. It does have the flat end, again, like the pink pen does, but there are no metal tips. It is a round-tipped pen, if you can see that. So it's not going to tell me anything different about whether it works well with square tiles or not. I don't know, there is some discussion about the different types of pens and how some pens are kind of flimsy and some pens are stronger. I'm not sure where this is supposed to fall on the scale, but just to let you know that there are different types of pens that you might get too. So, and I think with that, that is all of the administrivia, the news kind of things that I wanted to tell you about. So let's talk about what I've been working on. And again, we're going to run into the taking the plastic off of things is crinkly and loud, so if that bothers you, I apologize, but there's not much I can do about it. So here again is this partial piece that I intend to use as a framing experiment once it's finished. I've got it about 1/3 of the way finished, so you can see there is more progress made than the last time I showed it to you. You can start to see how the white part actually is tiles. You can see here, here, between the wolf's legs, so you can see that the wolf's legs are starting to be picked out in beads, contrasting with the white background of the globe. Again, this is a partial, not a full drill or full coverage piece, so the only thing that is sticky on this piece is the actual globe and everything within it. So the woman and the wolf, the ocean background and all of that is all sticky. But this part out here, you see this is not sticky at all. There, this is sticky. So this is a partial coverage piece. It should be relatively quick, but as I have said before, I'm, number one, not real fast at working on any particular craft, and number two, I'm working on multiple things, so I sort of alternate when I get bored or when I feel like I've reached a significant milestone. So I stopped on this one after I got about 1/3 of the way done, and this is what it looks like. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot more to say about that. It's not very detailed. It's a partial piece, so it's not going to be particularly intense when it comes to details. And I apologize if you just saw a little gnat thing run across the paper. As always, infestation. It's not an infestation. It's the occasional bug, but sometimes they like their time on camera too. I did not work on the wolf. This time I worked on my Alice in Wonderland piece, and I don't know if I showed you what the completed piece is supposed to look like, so I will insert a picture of what it's supposed to look like here. And then I'll come back and make crinkly noises at you and show you what my piece looks like. Now this again is just like the wolf mandala. This is a round tile piece, and I'm sure you can kind of see that anyway. So again, I'm working in the stair-step diagonal, and this is how far I've gotten so far. This is a different size. So my wolf mandala is 35 centimeters square, so 35 centimeters on all sides. This one is 30 centimeters wide, so 30 centimeters wide this way, by 40 centimeters tall. So obviously it makes it more of a rectangle, and you can sort of see the girl in the center and her silhouette outline and the trees around her on the pattern piece, and then again, of course, what I've gotten done. I actually really like this piece for all that it's much, well, it's a different color scheme, and I think it's much simpler as far as the pattern goes. I mean, you don't have to worry about feathers, you don't have the hoop of the mandala, you just have flowers and the silhouette and the trees. I think it's turning out really nicely. Again, I'm not as fast as I could be. I could sit and spend hours a week working on these, but I work on them when I have time or when I am so inclined, so, but that's where I am on the Alice in Wonderland piece. This is one that I got from Amazon, again from this company on Amazon, so you can look them up. I don't know whether you can get this on AliExpress. I have not looked for it, but this was one before I discovered AliExpress and before I started ordering from China. I was ordering from Amazon, and that's where it came from. Oh. So I'll put the plastic back on this. Again, apologies for the crinkling. I don't think I showed you, well, I think I showed a picture maybe in my first episode, but of my, this is, sorry, I had a little space out there. This is my floating villa piece. I will insert a picture of what this is supposed to look like when it's finished here. And I will show you how far I've gotten, which is not through a full column yet. There are about, can you see that? There you go. No, I know I've showed, actually I know I've showed you this because I showed you the detail in how this looks. And again, there's the bottom. Oh, sorry, not trying to make you sick, just trying to show you that you can already see the cloud detail in just this strip of tiles, which is one of the reasons why I really like the square tiles and why I really liked this pattern. You can definitely tell that there's going to be good detail in this picture. This is about 1,800 tiles, and I have a tile that's sticking up right there. Sorry, it caught my finger. The columns themselves are, I believe, there's 4 more, so there are 2,200 tiles in a column this size, so it's 1,100 tiles in a single column. This is a double column that I'm working on because that happens to be where I tore the paper, and that's what I've been working on. But I do really like the fact that it's got such good detail. It's going to look great from even further away when it's hanging on a wall framed. Once I've done the framing experiment with the partial piece, I'll be able to tell whether I can use this or if I need to use this to do the stretcher bar framing that I intend or would like to do, or if I need to get an actual official real frame in order to be able to frame this one because it's got such a small border. This one is a I believe this one is a 45 centimeters tall by 60 centimeters wide. It was, when I originally bought it, it was the biggest one that I had bought. That is no longer the case. Because, and hang on while I roll this up, because, as I have mentioned before, I now have my Heaven and Earth, or I think as I mentioned in the last episode anyway, I have my Heaven and Earth chart and pattern and canvas. This is the Mini Divine Instinct by Raven Felon. Again, if I'm butchering that name, I apologize. I will insert a picture of what this is supposed to look like when it's finished here. And I will show you the little bit of progress that I've made on it so far. Now this one, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can read that. This one is 57¼ centimeters wide and 81¼ centimeters long. So this is my biggest piece. And this is where I've gotten. Now, this isn't that much. This is the first page. It is the top row of the first page and the majority of the second row. But again, I like the fact, number one, you can see it sparkle. You can see how it's going to reflect the light and shine. You can also see how you can see those very subtle color changes. And there are bright spots in there, which are stars, or sparks of light anyway. But you can see this swath of lighter blue. And to me, it seems like the color changes are better, are more distinct in diamond painting than they are in cross-stitching. You can see them in cross-stitching, obviously, but I think they're a little more distinct when it comes to diamond painting. Working on a canvas this size, I will tell you, warn you, warn, tell, is difficult unless you have a big space to work on it. I have not yet completely rolled the canvas out. I don't have the space to do that. What I tend to do is roll enough out that I can work on this section, and then I basically hold it on my lap and prop it against my desk, and away I go. But if you are going to be working on, in particular, Heaven and Earth designs, and you want to go for something that is not a mini painting, remember, the charts on Heaven and Earth Designs website by default are measured out in 25 count fabric. So when they tell you that something is going to be 9 inches wide by 13 inches tall, for instance, that's on 25 count fabric. This canvas is essentially 10 count fabric. So something that's going to be 9 inches on 25 count is going to be much larger on 10 count. And then if you don't go with a mini design and you go with a regular size design where you're talking about 450 stitches wide by 700 and something stitches long, you're going to be looking at a very large piece of canvas. So again, just keep that in mind when you're thinking about whether you have the space to work on it. I know Caitlin, in some of her pieces, has mentioned that she works on the floor because that's the only place that she can actually spread the canvas out and work on it because they're so big. So this one I can actually work on at my desk here, but I can, like I said, I have to roll out a portion of it, prop it on my lap, and then work on it that way. Which, it works fine, but just keeping in mind. This is another one that, again, I did not specify a very wide border. This is all the border that I have, where some people are actually specifying like a 3-inch border on all sides, so they can frame it easily. This is going to be another one that will be interesting to frame once it's finished, but I have to get there first. And I guess in my, if this were a FlossTube video, this would be in my section where I mentioned haul. I think I said that I was waiting for one more pattern, one more chart to come in my last video. If I didn't, I'm telling you now, I was waiting for one more chart to come in, one more kit rather. And this time it was a custom kit, meaning I sent an image to the company, and they converted it into a diamond painting kit for me. Kit in that they printed the pattern on the canvas for me, and then added the adhesive to it, and pulled all of the tiles and sent both of those things, the canvas and the tiles, to me in a kit that was a custom kit. This is a kit based on a print that I bought a while ago at a convention. The artist's name is Goldie Nogawa. And because I paid for the actual print, I mean I have a physical copy of the print, I decided that it would be okay to make a diamond painting kit of this. I'm not selling it, I'm not selling kits from it, I just wanted to see how a custom from an image would work. So let me insert a picture of what the print looks like here. And I'm not going to show you the canvas because I haven't started working on it, and really it's going to be difficult to see it anyway because it's a pretty large, it's another 45 by 60, so it's the same size as that floating villa that I showed you, and there are no beads on it, so you'd just be looking at patterned pieces. What I do want to show you, which I thought was interesting about it, is that it is the first kit, or first shipment that I've gotten where the beads came in basically Ziploc bags. Now this is all of the black that I need for or all of the black that they say I need for this project. And as you can see, it's a pretty big bag full of black. These are square tiles. And I don't know if you can, if I hold this up, if you'll be able to read it. Sort of. Anyway, what this says is this is 3, so this is the third number symbol combination on the chart itself, and the chart does have the color code printed down the side just like all of them do, but this is the third color and symbol combination. It is 310, which, as we cross-stitchers know, is black. The code DMC uses for black. And then this is the number of beads, so it's 13,700, or it's 13,257 beads. That's what 13,257 black tiles looks like. But let me show you all of the bags. So different amounts, different colors. They all came in individual bags. Now when I opened the box, at first I thought, oh gosh, the bag broke open. Hopefully these are not, loose, or I'm gonna find a pile of loose tiles in the bottom of the box or whatever. But I didn't. They're all labeled and in their individual Ziploc bags. But there are more of them. Then I knocked over a bottle of glue. Sorry about that. There are more of them. In various amounts. Like this one is only supposedly 50 beads or 50 tiles, as opposed to this, which is 2,104 beads. So I just thought that was interesting. So just another way that beads or tiles might show. I keep calling them beads. Tiles might show up. If they show up like this is not wrong. This is not, you're probably not going to be missing tiles. It's just they didn't print out those strings of, or long tiny packets all strung together. This is just a different way of doing it, and actually I kind of like the fact that it's Ziplocs as opposed to those little packages, because I can open and close these. I can open this, I can take beads out, I can then close it back up and not spill beads all over the place. as opposed to the little packets where sometimes when you're tearing them apart, you tear the packet open and then you have to, try to fit them in your container, whatever kind of container you're using. So I just wanted to show you that, though. Here's the rest of the bag. This is the big bag that all the little bags were in. Just wanted to show you a different sort of packaging. And that, as they say, oh, don't fall out. There we go. And that, as they say, is that. That is everything I have to update you on today. And it's just about half an hour long, so that's a pretty good length for a video. I apologize if I seem like I'm talking really quietly. I have cleaning crew in my house today, and so I'm trying not to freak them out too much by talking to no one in the spare room. I apologize if you just heard that motorcycle that went by. The window is not open, but it was really close to our back wall, so it happens sometimes. And I hope that you have enjoyed the video. I hope that you are having a good week, have had a good few weeks since the last time I talked to you. That if you are diamond painting, you have gotten some of your shipments by now and have started playing around and seeing whether you like it and whether you want to keep up with the craft. And I will see you in another 2 weeks this time. 2 weeks, promise, won't be 3 weeks this time. But I will see you in another 2 weeks. So, bye!